All right, let's bring the political discussion on home here. Our political analyst, John Dadian, here today. The first thing I want to talk about, John, is Nathan Fletcher, assemblyman, longtime Republican, has left the GOP. He's gone independent in his race for mayor of San Diego. Everybody wants to know, good move, bad move.
Big news this week, huge news. Well, and really the way we're trying to analyze it is to ask the rhetorical question, is this a game changer? And it is slightly. I think what happened, a lot of people are asking the question, did he do it because he was upset he didn't get the Republican endorsement? No, he's a big boy, okay? He went for the endorsement, didn't get it. What he really, I think, is doing is looking strategically and saying, can I still win? And the answer is yes. And if I can, how do I do it? There's about 30% independents in decline to states in the city of San Diego as far as voters. So I think he's going to go for them. Keep in mind, he has a very large war chest. He's basically pretty close to Carl DeMaio as far as the amount of money, cash on hand. If he puts that all into voter contact with independents, he's definitely in the running.
So at what point do we start seeing that money really get spent? It seems like everybody's kind of holding back right now, but eventually, when the floodgates open, you're going to see nothing but ads and hear things on the radio constantly, right?
And the answer is now.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that the major campaigns that have these large war chests, they've already allocated it, internally where they're going to spend it. Clearly a bulk's going to be on TV. Clearly a bulk's going to be in direct mail. Direct mail is very good because you can strategically target it. You can go to the high propensity people who voted in all the past elections, those type of things. So I think you're going to see quite a bit of that. Your mailbox is going to get very full.
Okay, very good. So I guess the only unanswered question here after we had Mr. Fletcher in to talk about this was whether or not he might have been kind of forced to leave the party for some reason. Any thought about that at all?
No, he wasn't forced. Again, this was a very calculated, strategic, combination political and personal question. I think he's being, accused by some Republicans. The County Republican Party sent out a very nasty, blasting email on him, which I think was very, very low class. But I think of the famous quote by Ronald Reagan, who was once a Democrat. A lot of people forget he was a big Democrat, then became one of the most famous Republicans. And Ronald Reagan, when asked why he switched parties, said, I did not leave the Democratic Party, they left me. If Nathan Fletcher says that in response, I think he'll be okay.
Answers the question.
Poll this morning shows that he has an 8% bump since his announcement.
Really?
For 12% go in favor from after his announcement, 4% left him, so a net of 8, and that's good news for him.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that story. Let's go national here for just a second. Mitt Romney, is he getting close to wrapping this thing up, and maybe it's time for some of these other candidates to face reality here?
Absolutely. Again, across the internet, it's so great with this internet because you see all of the pundits, from coast to coast, et cetera. One phrase that I like to say, they say the Romney campaign is now moving into the mop-up phase, and I think that's probably accurate. You have to wonder, though, really what is Newt Gingrich's game plan now. Santorum clearly wants to get out respectfully, et cetera, but a lot of people are using his name as possible vice presidential candidate, so he's still got to be a player. Gingrich has to be careful not to look like the sour grapes candidate.
Okay, so possibly Santorum. Now, how does that work, though, after a really tough campaign where the guy that might be asked to be vice president is the guy that kept saying, that guy's not qualified to be president, and saying all those nasty things about him? How did they just, say, well, that was campaigning and that's the way it goes, and then move on? And how do you make nice after that?
It happens all the time, without a doubt. But I think the most classic example, certainly in my lifetime, is when we had two candidates, and one of the candidates' main platform was economics, saying this is how I solve the country, and his opponent said, really, well, that's voodoo economics. Well, that was Ronald Reagan and George Bush. People never thought they'd get back together. But again, as presidential nominee, all of a sudden you become a statesman when you're the nominee, and you say, who is best, not only to help me win this election, but who could take over? That has to be the number one criteria, and I think several of these candidates that names are talking about fit that bill.
Okay. Political analyst John Dadian, always great to see you. Things are starting to heat up here, so we'll see you on a regular basis.
Fun times.
Okay, thanks.